Hello, you're very welcome, first of all, to Ireland, and secondly, to the story of P S Gilmore. Here you are, here we are in what I now term as P S Gilmore's office, because it's here that all things Gilmore are gathered. Who was this guy Gilmore? What did he do? And what was his legacy? And is his legacy today in America? That's what we're going to be trying to explore in these documentaries. His life and times in America, and how exactly he helped to create what is now known as the entertainment industry of modern America. To my knowledge, this has never been done before, where an immigrant's life has been documented in such detail, based on primary proof material from the time of the biggest calamity that ever affected the Irish people. That calamity was called the Great Famine, or in Gaelic, An Gorta Mór. P S Gilmore was an immigrant from Ireland, and like so many others, he went to America. He was from County Galway in the west of Ireland, and a little town there called Ballygar. There he learned how to play band music in the fife and drum band in the village or the town. And later on in 1843 he learned musical education in Athlone on the River Shannon until he emigrated in 1849. In future episodes we're going to visit and explore both Ballygar and Athlone. And hopefully I will show you how it was his early life in Ballygar that created or helped create the character of Patrick Gilmore, and find out how Athlone town itself helped to educate and prepare a young Gilmore musically for a future life in America. Another reason that I think you're going to be interested in this story is that, particularly if your ancestors came or lived in America in the 19th century, they may have seen Gilmore or read of his concerts in newspapers and journals, etc., or maybe even gone to a concert of Gilmore's. So this isn't just or only a story of an Irish immigrant, but it's also the story of German, Dutch, French and English, and in fact all immigrants to America in the 19th century. They were Gilmore's musicians and his audiences in both the northern and southern states of Canada, of the states and into Canada. They were in those audiences. Gilmore was known throughout the land as one of their own. And so I emphasize this is part of your ancestors' untold story as well, of their life in 19th century America. The videos will explore his life and career, but also detail his successes and victories in music. But respectfully, may I ask you one question? How can you understand, or how can you believe the story I'm telling? You know nothing about me, and I have to basically prove my credibility to you. First of all, my name is Jarlath McNamara. That's a real old Irish name. And I'm from Ballygar, like Gilmore himself. Therefore, in Irish terms, we're full of accents, localized accents, so my accent would be very similar to the accent that he would have spoken with. The story for me and Gilmore starts approximately in 1969. Gilmore was raised in Ballygar from an infant onwards. He was born outside Dublin, he said repeatedly in interviews and so on and so forth. But he also emphasised that he was raised in Ballygar. Then in 1969, as I said, as a 9-year-old, I was there at the unveiling of a plaque in Ballygar that still stands to Gilmore. It was much later, in 2007, that I started my work researching his story and history with a passion. It was then also that I found that there was very, very little information available across the internet on the man. Very few books were published of consequence, and even fewer accurate research papers. And even today, there's hardly a mention by music historians of this man or his career. I wondered for years, why? What did Gilmore do wrong to deserve this? Completely by accident, I stumbled across eBay.com when this would be 2007 or 8, and using phrases from that Ballygar plaque, I started researching things like the National Peace Jubilee, or the World Peace Jubilee, or Patrick S. Gilmore, or P S Gilmore, as the case may be, on eBay. And try this yourself. You will see there are still items to bid for and collect. And I did just that. 3 items I'll show you right now will give you an idea. I bought, for instance, this little photograph. It's called a carte de visite. It was taken as part of a photo shoot of Gilmore back in 1870. And so this carte de visite, CDV, is now in my collection. And here is a beautiful little booklet, again from the same time frame, about the Peace Jubilees. And in this case, it's quite extraordinary that something as delicate as this would survive as long as it has. 23 pages of a little booklet. Perfect. But this was what started it all. And this is really unusual because it gives you some of these items, and this is one of them, gives you an idea of how people lived in those days. Today we go to conferences and conventions, and the first thing we do is register, and we get our information kit and so on and so forth, and our lanyards with an identification badge, etc., etc. Well, they didn't have any of that. They had no barcoding in the 19th century. They had ribbons, and these ribbons would go on the lapel of the jacket or the lady's dress, and so at a glance you knew where this person should go to. And this is one of those from 1869. So when I bought an item like that, it became part of not only the Gilmore project, but it also began its own project work, its own research work. If it was a concert program, I would research that program, and there would be coverage for that concert, or maybe reviews after the concert related to that program. So now I have a huge collection of ephemera and memorabilia related to Gilmore's life, and indeed his career and concert life in America. I've mentioned ephemera, and I'll just tell you quickly what is ephemera. If you go to a baseball game or a hockey game or football game, you have to buy a ticket. And in the old days, before the internet, you bought the ticket and then you went inside and you rolled up the ticket maybe and threw it in the garbage. Ephemera are items such as posters. They're all paper items. Posters, broadsides which would advertise the event, and tickets, or concert programs even, that were originally meant to be discarded after use. Today, these are highly collectible and highly important for this type of research, because it gives you absolute proof of the event and other details. So this is what this story is based upon. It's not based on theories. It's not based on hearsay, but on facts and primary proof material. One other point that I should emphasize is that very early on I realized that there were only two archives in America about P S Gilmore as such, but they're both important archives. One was in the University of Maryland, in the special collections of the University of Maryland. It's a wonderful collection of about 50 items, roughly. If you go into University of Maryland, you'll find that there is a finding aid there, and you can view the items. Wonderful. The second collection is in Boston College, in the Burns Library. Do a search on Boston College, Burns Library, and the Michael Cummins collection. Again, a wonderful resource for everyone in America. But other than that, very little seemed to exist. I searched museums and other locations, and nothing was seemingly there. And in quite a few places, they didn't know of Gilmore. So my collecting took on a lot more importance, because not only was I researching individual events, I was in actual fact recreating his life, almost recreating his diary, and that became very, very exciting. Famous figures exist in American history throughout the ages, but the majority of those figures seem to have an association with a city, a state, a community, maybe a regiment. In Gilmore's case, his status was unusual because he wasn't known specifically because of an association with an area. Rather, he became known for his music and his performances, and admired across the United States of America. He really was America's first superstar. So, if you enjoy this, please don't forget to click on like down here. And obviously, if you want to learn about the next video, please click on subscribe. But I have two favors more to ask you, if you don't mind. If you know of any of your friends or relatives who equally like American history and music as much as you do, please tell them about this YouTube video, this YouTube channel, and give them the link or whatever, and they can enjoy it too. One other favour, if you have any comments, please leave them below. I'll get back to you, every one of them, as fast as I possibly can. But there is another reason that I have for asking that. If you have any of your family that indeed were part of bands back in the 19th century, or you have any knowledge of them, first of all, my email address is gilmoresband@gmail.com. gilmoresband@gmail.com. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's been absolutely wonderful to be with you today. I am sorry that my technology is not up to speed completely. I can only guarantee one thing, that my content is way ahead of my technology. So, we will hopefully get that cleared up in the next few videos. Until the next video, however, see you next time. And as we'd say in Ireland, slán. Thank you. Bye bye.